Hello and welcome to the Melanated Veteran Podcast. I'm your host, Miss Mesha, and before we begin, the first order of business is to share, like, and subscribe to the Melanated Veteran on Facebook and Instagram. We're on almost all major platforms: iTunes, Google Play, iHeart, Stitcher, YouTube, and many more. Don't forget to check out our website at www.themelanatedveteran.com. So today, my guest is somebody who I can say I have literally known, just pretty much all my life. She has been a big inspiration to me. Her journey into the military, and then she's an entrepreneur now. Please welcome the amazing Shemika Dixon.
Oh wow, that's like the best introduction I've had in my entire life.
You
Thank you
deserve
for having
it.
me.
So thank you again. Thank you so much for doing this. Your family, our families have known each other like pretty much, I think, all our lives.
Yes, absolutely. I've known you all my life too. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Before I had memories.
Right. So I was, your whole family, like our family's both military, heavy into the military and everything. And so I was like, okay, I have to have Meek on here, especially her being in the military and about to be getting out. So, again, thank you. Um,
Thank
so,
you. This is exciting.
yeah.
Congratulations to you on this podcast. This is really, really cool. I'm
Thank
so happy to be
you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's begin. So, how long have you been in the military, and what branch?
So I am active duty Air Force, and I have been in about 19 and a half years at this point, coming up on 20 in April.
Okay. So I know you're inching up there close to being able to be in a
Hmm.
retire and everything. And again, I gotta commend anybody who I call lifers. The 20 years.
It is
um,
a lifetime.
right? So what made you go? What made you decide to go into the Air Force?
Wow. So, I mean, you already alluded to some of it, but my father, your father, and your mother all served in the Air Force and knew each other before we were even notions. And so I've had influence. The Air Force has always been an influence in my life and in my home. But honestly, growing up, I never really considered going into the military. It wasn't until I left home and went to college, and I was in my third year of college, and the truth is, I just wasn't as mature as I should have been,
Hmm.
or as some of my peers were at the time. And I also really didn't like the idea of um, a lot of student loan debt, and I was stressed out because I was going into debt trying to stay afloat at a private college. And so, I didn't even talk to my parents or anything about it. I just was like, hey, I'm just going to join the Air Force. And I think it was a kind of a safety net already because I knew the Air Force life. I knew what, or at least I thought I knew what it
Hmm.
entailed. So yeah, I just said, hey, I can finish school on my own time, with, with a job as well, and not accrue so much debt. And so that was kind of, what led me there. And then I think also there was a certain amount of autonomy that I was kind of after as well, like living on my own and kind of making my own rules. So and that's what kind of led me there. And then, like I said, the influence of my parents, I can't deny that for sure. I had a sister in the Air Force as well at the time, so it just
Right.
seemed like a good place to go, a good place to land.
Right. That's awesome. So you decided to go in. Boot camp. When you got to boot camp, what were your thoughts?
Wow. It's so funny. I don't know how anybody can remember anything from boot camp or basic training, it was just such a overwhelming experience. I do have some friends that like remember the bus rides and the plane rides and that kind of thing. And I don't remember much of it. I'm pretty sure I blocked a lot of that out just to survive. But so I honestly don't remember anything until I got to Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, where I did boot camp. I remember being a part of what they called a rainbow flight, and so we were all, basically in our civilian clothes, standing underneath an overhang, and in formation, if you will. And that's really my first memory. I don't remember the bus. I don't remember getting to the airport. I don't remember any of that. I just remember kind of wanting to get it over with.
Yeah.
Wanting to get through it. Yeah. So that was really it.
Right.
A lot of overwhelm.
Right. Yeah. You bringing up like us, you blacking out. It's kind of like you just black it out. There's some stuff. Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that, because it's. I don't think people realize how like so much stuff goes on, and how much you have to, how challenging it can be.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I know there are some things that occurred, like, in the Air Force we call them MCI. So a TI, I know, got on the bus and did a lot of yelling, and there was, picking up your stuff and that kind of thing. I know that those things occurred, but I honestly feel like it was a little out of body. Like I don't physically, I can't really draw on those memories. I just know that those things occurred. So now, into basic training, into boot camp, I do have vivid memories of that part. But I think I was kind of in survival mode, in the time that I left home to get in there. Probably nerves and anxiety more than anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So you graduate, you get out of boot camp, you go to your first duty station. Tell me a little bit about some of the highs and lows that you've had while being in the military.
Oh goodness, it's funny, that you asked that question, because I think where I am right now, very close to retirement, I'm doing a lot of reflecting, and there are major highs and lows. But so if I start with the highs are absolutely, the people that you meet along the way, the relationships that you get to form, the friends that become family when you can't be with your family. And so that's priceless. That is, without a doubt, the best thing that I think the military can offer anyone. And it's different, from like college students that like go away to school and build these relationships that are lifelong relationships. But those are just friendships. I think there's something about the military that forces you to redefine family, and so that is my biggest takeaway. Absolutely, my biggest takeaway. Lows, man. Oof.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think there's something about it. It's that camaraderie. Like it's, and I have friends, I've been out since, 5 years, but I have friends that when I started, from boot camp, on now, like we're still really good friends. So, that's something that I definitely agree with you.
It's hard to make friends as an adult,
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I don't really want to meet new people. I'm good with I'm good with my little tribe I have here.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. But yeah, so I think the relationships are definite highs. I think also the travel. If you spend enough time, I think, in any branch of the service, and you have the opportunity to travel, that was a gift for me. Clearly it was a decision because I didn't have to necessarily take the assignments that I took, but it opened up my world in a way that you just really can't describe. You can't describe to another person. You can't tell someone what leaving home and really having to depend on the people that are around you, what that brings into your life, how it opens up your life, and experiencing other cultures and food and just the travel in general, seeing how other people live, also seeing how other people experience you as an American, is very educating. It's very educational in a way, because we have a tendency to kind of think that the world revolves around America and English and that kind of thing, and it's just untrue, and it was just a real privilege, I think, to go to some of the places that I've been and experience life the way that they experience life, as best as I could.
Facts. I agree.
Yeah.
And the thing for you, like I know, I think I talked to your heard from your mother a while ago when your mom and my mom were together, and before you were, I think you had been in Germany. Like, oh yeah, she's in Germany, and I was like, see, honestly, if I don't think if we had been in the military, a lot of these traveling experiences, I don't know if we would have been able to do as many as we have. So
No, and so I know that. I mean, you traveled, you lived abroad before ever joining the military, and so that is also, I think, just kind of a different experience. But I also believe that your ability to do that probably had a lot to do with your parents being in the military. Just the idea that you can live anywhere. You can really survive and live anywhere.
Amen. I agree.
Yeah.
So tell me a little lows.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. So the lows. I think right now, not even I think right now, I know right now what comes up for me is definitely, my experience in the Air Force as a Black woman. And those intersections where my race was, very apparent. And there's never really a time that it's not apparent, but there were really some periods. For instance, I, as a career, my job, I think in the Navy they call it aerographers, but I was weather. I did meteorology for the vast majority of my Air Force career. And both inside the Air Force and outside the Air Force, meteorology is a very white male-dominated curriculum, science and technology kind of driven. And so there were very few instances where, actually there were no instances, in the duration of my career where I was in the majority, both being female and being Black. Very often I was or am the only Black female in the room or in the unit or, in the flight. And so that comes with a, definite share of isolation, and feeling othered, if you will. But, I don't want to belittle that, because that really, that it wasn't one experience, but it's been peppered, quite a bit throughout the course of my career. And so having to kind of reconcile that right now against the backdrop of kind of what's happening in the world right now, it's sobering. It's very sobering. It's sad for me in a lot of ways, because, it's very evident that there's a lot of growth that still needs to occur, even in an institution that I really consider progressive in a lot of ways, I guess. But it's also, like I say, even though there were some low points because of race, I've had a really, great experience in the Air Force, and I wouldn't change that. That part, I could not say that I wouldn't do it again,
Mm.
even despite the load.
Okay. Um, you have you were one of the ones that's been an inspiration for me, um,
Mm.
especially for us as Black women. I don't think that we get, like you said, a lot of times it's male dominated, white
Mhm.
male dominated, and it is sometimes hard to kind of move up or to even be really sometimes in general like respected. Um,
Mhm.
and I again, it's interesting because it feels like sometimes I know that there's a lot of us Black women that were in the military that are in, but a lot
Mhm.
of times you don't really see it. Um,
Oh, that's so true. So true. Absolutely the truth. I'll be honest with you, Tanisha. I did not see a Black female senior NCO in my career field until I was at E7. I had not worked with another one until I was in E7. And talk about a low.
wow.
We were the only two Black females in a unit of over 200, and no one could get our names right. She was either, my name or vice versa. It was just bizarre, the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced. So you're absolutely
Wow.
right about one. I think you were trying to allude to the fact that you don't see as much in kind of the higher ranks, even though we're there,
Mm-hmm.
in some capacities. But there are definite barriers, um, seen and unseen, to the progression of, I think, people of color in general that are still very much embedded in the institution of the Department of Defense.
Mm, I completely agree. Uh,
Yeah.
it's That's crazy though. As a E7, like, and wow, like it's.
Mm-hmm.
I had interviewed one of the ladies I work with, and she was in from 82 to 92. And when we were talking, she was saying it for her around that time, it was still male dominated. So there was a lot of the rules and stuff that they have now that they didn't have then. And
Mm.
looking at that, and I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. Uh,
No, it wasn't that long ago.
and seeing like I hope that the progression will, will the momentum will keep going. That we will see more, Black females, in those high positions, because
Hmm.
it's
And
time.
yeah, I think it's beyond time. Actually, I listened to that podcast, and I think she was alluding to kind of some of the protections that they have for women now,
Mm,
with benefits and that kind of thing. I remember, there was a period in time where you got pregnant as a woman, you had to get out of the military. But you're right, we're not far removed from that
right.
time frame. And I think it's very important too that we keep that in mind. We're not far from it, and if we don't continue as women, or just really as a collective, to advocate for the progression of equity and all things, all of the rights that kind of fall under, um, the purview that I guess the military has to offer. If you don't continue to advocate for it, you just live within it and you don't realize that, oh no, by the way, I do deserve to
Mm,
have X, Y, and Z. I think one of the things that is new, I would say new-ish, for the military are like, places for women to nurse their children or to pump,
mm,
after they've had babies. Like you, I think for a lot of people coming up right now, you think, oh, okay, well, that's kind of standard, right? You should have these nursing rooms or at least clean spaces. But, like 5 years ago, women were relegated to nasty bathrooms,
right.
to do stuff like that. So you're absolutely right. We're not far removed from what would seem like something that's archaic,
Mm,
the slow moving train for sure.
right. Uh, it's I'm it, it just like you said, we definitely need to start advocating and you know put us out in the front, like
Mhm.
show us what we're doing, like what we have done, what we're doing, because it's all about the women empowerment. I feel like now it's all about, especially the black women empowerment. Um,
Word.
it's to me, and a lot of times I feel like we're one of the you know least respected,
Mhm.
and us showing how much we do and how strong that we are and working
Mhm.
together. And that's why I say you've been, like I was saying, you've been an inspiration, because us, like our family, we're not just gonna let somebody walk over us, and we're gonna
Right.
stand up for what's right and everything. And so I just thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up, like really.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I felt, if I could share just a little story,
Mhm.
even. So, like, currently, I am a E8
Mhm.
in the Air Force, which is a senior master sergeant,
Mhm.
and we know that E9 is the highest.
Mhm.
Um, and for the last 2 years in my career field is made up of roughly 4,000 airmen, and that's um, active duty, guard, reserve,
Mhm.
everyone, total force. And in the 4,000, I am currently the only black female senior master sergeant in my entire career field. I am the highest ranking black female, which doesn't say a whole lot, because I'm still an E8. There
Wow.
are no black female chiefs at all in my career field. We have two black male chiefs in my entire career field, and both of them have since left the career field. And in the
Mhm.
last 2 years of promotion to E9, they have been all white and male. So 14 people in the last 2 years have been promoted, and
Mhm.
none of them were female, and none of them were people of color.
Wow.
So talk about work to be done again.
Right? It's whew, yeah, a lot of work needs to be done. Definitely,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah.
So you're about to get out. What are some things that you wish that someone would have told you, like during this transitioning?
I think I'm gonna say something that might be a little unorthodox, but I think often in the military, well, maybe not so unorthodox, but I think often in the military, because we're such a contained institution, and it takes care of so many things, so many of your needs, your housing, your food, pays for you to move, and all these other things. There is a tendency for us to become very comfortable, complacent, reliant even on the amenities, the entitlements, and benefits that we have. And so
Absolutely.
I often get a lot of feedback. Like when I said I was going to retire, people were like, "What? Why would you retire? Like this is easy. This is good. This is good work. The economy, this, and that kind of thing." And so there was a lot of pushback on me leaving the military, from people outside of the military and inside of the military. And so I think, if there is anything that a person could offer, if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm really thinking about leaving the military, or I'm thinking about retiring, or whatever," I think the best advice you can give to them is, well, you can do whatever you put your mind to, really,
Mm.
and I think they are used to now asking people, hey, well, do you have a plan?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what you want to do? And I think it's good to ask the person that. But if this last year, as I have been kind of toying with the idea of retirement,
Mm-hmm.
I would have really loved for people to say to me, absolutely, Shemika, you have other talents, you have other skills, you have, a long life ahead of you, God willing. Sure, close that chapter if you're ready, and go
Mm-hmm.
on and experience the rest of life, and maybe some of the other things that you want to do. The military is not your entire life. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a part. It's just a part of your life, a very small part of your life in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. Um, that's one thing I like that, because a lot of people they're like, really, you're gonna get out, but why? But like,
Mm-hmm.
look, if you're stuck, if that's why I think a lot of people get stuck staying there, because they're kind of like, well, this is all I know, why else would I want to
Right.
try something different? um
Absolutely.
and one thing that I love about you is that you're already working towards when you retire. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, I sometimes insta stalk. I insta stalk your Instagram, and then also your business Instagram. Um,
Mm-hmm.
tell tell us a little bit about how that started, how Royal Monarch started.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have COVID to thank
Mm-hmm.
for Royal Monarch, and for a lot of the things that I'm dreaming of doing. Kind of in this next phase of life. But so COVID happened, and so I work in DC, and we went to teleworking immediately, just to keep everyone safe, and that was pretty much at the end of February.
Mm-hmm.
And so, working from home, I think there was a period of time where there was just so much uncertainty about when we would go back to work and if we would go back to work. And so I had a lot of free time on my hands to really kind of think about life, and think about, my happiness and where I wanted to, put my efforts and my energy, and also think about retirement. I had not decided to retire at that point, but that's actually where it came about, like really thinking about, hey, I could do something else, with my life. And so, Royal Monarch, Royal Monarch is a brand, if you will, that is going to be very multifaceted, in the years to come. But so I started it, the name, at least. I'm using the name on a couple of different things. So the name right now is the name of my Etsy shop. And during COVID, I got really creative. I think a lot of people, got really creative and started to kind of explore. And
Yep.
so I started making candles and personal care products, and I have, just it's just it's a release for me. It's just like this creative space where I can go and spend hours, trying different things, different scents and fragrances, and learning. It was also a learning venture as well, learning to do these things. And so, so that's where it started. So I do have, like I said, a small little Etsy shop that I pour a lot of love into when I get the opportunity. I also use Royal Monarch for coaching. And
Okay.
so during during COVID, I had a really great boss at the time that was a coach. He was also a coach, and his leadership style was a lot of coaching techniques. And so we would go to him with questions, and, hey, boss, how do you want us to do this? And he'd be like, well, how do you think you should do it? Or, and he really forced us to kind of come up with our own answers and solve our own problems. And I really appreciated his approach to leadership and relationship building. And so I pursued that, and while COVID was happening, I went to a coaching course and got certified as a life coach. And so there's also Royal Monarch Coaching. And so I eventually want to build Royal Monarch into just kind of a, I'll call it a helping agency, but eventually into a nonprofit or not-for-profit that shapes the community in a particular way. And I'm still sorting out, exactly what I want that to look like. But COVID for sure gave me the space to explore kind of, again, those other talents, other things that I think are God-given, and just waiting for me to retire from the Air Force.
Right. Amen. Like,
yeah.
the fact that, and it's crazy because I know COVID has a lot of us reflecting on, what's most important. And I love the fact that you were like, I'm finding something that I love, and that you asked for help, especially, and got certified. Like, to me, you made the steps, because a lot of people would have been like, oh, that's cool, but I'm not gonna necessarily pursue it. The fact that you were like, you know what, why not? Let's do it. Right. So for that,
so what's the worst that can happen, right?
Right.
The worst that can happen is what you don't complete it or you fail, but you gotta try.
Right, and that's it. Hey, if you never know unless you try. So I'm so excited. I'm so honored that I know you and seeing what you're doing, because I was like, oh, she's got her Etsy. I was looking, and I'm telling myself, oh, I'm gonna have to give me something, because you had so many different products and everything, and I can't wait to see, how everything comes together, completely comes together. So again, thank you. So before we wrap up, tell everybody where they can find you, or where they can find Royal Monarch.
So Royal Monarch, again, lives on Etsy primarily, and it's Royal Monarch, one word. There's also a Instagram page that goes with it, so you can just search for Royal Monarch under accounts, and it'll come up. And that's really just a place where I drop pictures as I, again, explore and experiment with, just different creative modalities, whether it's, candles or body butter or sugar scrubs. But, so that's where you can find me. And then for coaching, I'm Royal Monarch Coaching at Gmail.
Okay. So y'all heard that, Royal Monarch. Definitely check it out. Check it out. Again, Shemika, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Again, you were such a big inspiration to me. Your whole family your whole family is amazing. It was funny, right? Because I was talking to my mom. She was like, "That is your family."
Absolutely.
So I just want to thank you again for doing this and for just being such an amazing family. Again, thank you. So
thank you for having me.
Of course,
This is amazing. I am super, super proud of you and launching this platform. Super honored to be here as well. So, keep up the good work. I will definitely keep you all prayed up.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. And keep highlighting women. This is like the dopest.
Right. It's interesting because I was talking to my mom, and she was like, yeah, me and Net were talking, and, she was like, I think that's like, I kind of want to hear from the women. And I was like, it's true. We need more. Definitely. And this won't be the last time that you're on my show. I just want you to know.
Well,
So
I'm gonna hold you to that.
I'm gonna make sure that this is not the last time that you're on here. So you can find me at the Melanated Veteran on Facebook and IG. You can also check us out at www.themelanatedveteran.com. I am your host, Miss Mesha, signing off saying embrace what makes you you.